In the heart of rural West Virginia, a chilling mystery has taken flight and has since become legendary across the globe. The Mothman, a cryptic being with formidable wings and piercing red eyes, emerged from the shadows to haunt the unsuspecting town of Point Pleasant. Its presence has sent shockwaves through the community, forever inscribing its name in the chronicles of the unexplained. At the heart of this mystery lies a tragedy of profound proportions: the catastrophic collapse of the Silver Bridge on a fateful December night in 1967. This calamity, with its devastating toll of 46 lives lost, casts an ominous shadow over the Mothman legend. While many regard the Mothman as a purely paranormal or supernatural entity, its existence and impact on the local community raise significant questions. Why did these sightings cluster around Point Pleasant? What factors contributed to the widespread belief in the creature's existence? How has the Mothman phenomenon affected the town's identity? Let's explore further. The first famous Mothman sighting reportedly occurred on the chilly autumn evening of November 15th, 1966. Two young couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Millette, were the witnesses to this extraordinary event. The Scarberrys and Millettes were driving together around the TNT area, the site of a former World War II munitions plant that would quickly become a hotspot for future sightings. When the couples arrived at one of the abandoned power plants, their headlights revealed a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. The couples described the being as an imposing figure 6 to 7 feet tall, possessing two immense wings folded behind its back. They further described the eyes as being circular and fiery red. The creature, later dubbed the Mothman due to its winged appearance, followed their vehicle at an astonishing speed as they were attempting to drive away from the area. The witnesses describe a high-pitched screech as they reached speeds of over 100 miles per hour. Despite the driver's efforts, the creature was able to keep up, reportedly not even having to flap its wings. This harrowing encounter continued until they reached the safety of Point Pleasant, where the Mothman ceased its pursuit. The Scarberry-Millette sighting sent shockwaves through the small community of Point Pleasant. The witnesses were visibly shaken by their experience, and they quickly reported the incident to local authorities. Their account was taken seriously by law enforcement, who were unable to provide a conventional explanation for the strange encounter. "I wish we had never seen it. I wish someone else had seen it," Linda Scarberry would later recount. News of the sighting rapidly spread, capturing the attention of the local press and soon garnering media coverage. As reports of similar sightings began to surface in the area, a sense of fear and curiosity descended upon Point Pleasant. The legend of the Mothman was born, and the town would never be the same again. Newell Partridge was a resident of Salem, a town situated near Point Pleasant. Partridge's experience with the Mothman began with an unusual disturbance in his home. Both his television and radio reportedly emitted bizarre static and high-pitched noises, rendering them unusable. Intrigued by this inexplicable interference, Partridge decided to investigate the source. As he stepped outside of his home, he shined his flashlight towards one of his barns, and that was when he saw a creature with glowing red eyes that looked like bicycle reflectors. At this point, he wasn't aware of the Mothman sightings at Point Pleasant, so he couldn't identify the creature as such. Partridge's dog Bandit became visibly agitated and aggressive, barking ferociously at the creature and giving chase as it took to the air and flew away. Partridge would later recount that Bandit never returned, leaving behind only a mysterious set of dog tracks that went in circles before disappearing completely, contributing to the unexplained nature of the incident. Marcella Bennett was visiting the residence of Ralph Thomas on the night after the Scarberry-Millette incident. Along with Kathy and Raymond Wamsley, the group had gathered for an evening together, unaware of any strange events unfolding elsewhere. As Marcella Bennett was leaving the home, she stepped outside into the night. It was then that she reported seeing the Mothman near her car. The creature, described similarly to the previous sightings, had a tall humanoid form, large wings, and terrible glowing red eyes. Bennett was immediately overcome by panic at the sight of the creature, so much so that she actually dropped her infant daughter on the ground, completely frozen with fear. Raymond Wamsley grabbed the child and herded everyone back into the residence. As the door was locked behind the group, they would describe two eyes staring at them through the window. Between 1966 and 67, Point Pleasant experienced a wave of Mothman reports. Local newspapers and law enforcement received numerous accounts from residents who claimed to have seen the creature. These sightings were not only made by local townspeople, but also out-of-town visitors as well, lending an air of credibility to the phenomenon. John Keel was an American author and investigative journalist known for his work in the field of ufology and paranormal phenomena. He was born on March 25, 1930 in Hornell, New York, and passed away on July 3, 2009. Keel gained prominence for his research on the paranormal and unexplained, including UFOs and cryptids. In late 1966, Keel arrived in Point Pleasant to investigate the Mothman phenomena and associated paranormal activity. He conducted interviews with eyewitnesses and local residents who had experienced unusual sightings with everything from the Mothman to UFOs. Keel would also talk about encounters with mysterious individuals who referred to themselves as Men in Black. These individuals, whom Keel described as strange and intimidating, appeared to be monitoring and intimidating both eyewitnesses and investigators. He would note that Point Pleasant experienced a range of other paranormal events during this period, including strange lights in the sky, electrical disturbances, and unusual animal behavior. John Keel's research in Point Pleasant, culminating with the Silver Bridge disaster, is a significant part of his book, The Mothman Prophecies. It provides context for the events that unfolded in the town during the mid-1960s. The book helped elevate the Mothman from regional legend to global phenomenon. The Silver Bridge, originally named for its distinctive aluminum paint, was a suspension bridge that spanned the Ohio River, connecting Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and Gallipolis, Ohio. It was an essential transportation link for the local communities and played a vital role in connecting people on both sides of the river. On the evening of December 15, 1967, during the busy holiday shopping season, tragedy struck as rush hour traffic crowded the Silver Bridge. At approximately 5 p.m., a critical eye bar in the suspension chain failed, causing a catastrophic structural failure. The bridge collapsed into the frigid waters of the Ohio River in a matter of seconds. Vehicles that were on the bridge at the time plummeted into the icy river below. The rescue and recovery efforts were swift but challenging due to the difficult conditions, and it took several weeks to retrieve all the victims and wreckage. The collapse of the Silver Bridge had a profound and lasting impact on Point Pleasant and the surrounding communities. It was a devastating tragedy that deeply affected the lives of the survivors and the families of the victims. The small town was thrust into the national spotlight as news of the disaster spread across the country. The Mothman had been a source of fear and unease in Point Pleasant in the months leading up to the bridge collapse. Many residents believed that the creature was somehow connected to the impending tragedy, serving as a forewarning of the disaster. The legend of the Mothman took on a darker and more ominous tone, with some speculating that the creature was a harbinger of doom. While there is no concrete evidence linking the Mothman to the collapse of the Silver Bridge, the coincidence of the two events and the emotional impact on the community created a lasting association between the creature and the tragedy. Natural explanations for the Mothman phenomenon seek to demystify reported sightings by attributing them to ordinary, non-supernatural causes. While many people are intrigued by the idea of cryptids and the paranormal, skeptics often offer alternative theories to explain the Mothman encounters. Most eyewitness accounts describe the Mothman as a tall, winged figure. Skeptics argue that these descriptions could be misidentifications of large birds, such as owls, herons, or sandhill cranes, which can appear much larger in low-light conditions. These birds have reflective eyes, which could explain the eerie glowing red eyes often associated with the Mothman. Unusual wildlife behaviors or migratory patterns can sometimes lead to reports of strange creatures. If a large bird or animal were disoriented or injured, it might behave oddly and be mistakenly identified. Some skeptics suggest that the Mothman sightings in Point Pleasant were a result of mass hysteria, a psychological phenomenon where a group of people experience collective delusions or symptoms of illness due to psychological stressors, with one witness influencing the account of others. The initial sightings by the Scarberry-Millette group could have primed others to see something similar. The Appalachian region, where many Mothman sightings occurred, is known for its rugged terrain, dense forests, and natural caves. It's possible that environmental factors such as unusual lighting conditions, reflections, or shadows could have contributed to some sightings. While natural explanations may account for some Mothman sightings, they don't necessarily dismiss the entire phenomenon. Mothman, like other cryptid legends, remain a complex interplay of eyewitness accounts, folklore, cultural factors, and the enduring allure of the unexplained. Evaluating the credibility and context of each sighting is essential to understanding the full scope of the phenomenon. Mothman tourism in Point Pleasant has become a significant and thriving industry, drawing visitors from around the world who are captivated by the legend of the creature. The Mothman Festival is the centerpiece of Mothman tourism in Point Pleasant. Held annually, typically in September, this event celebrates all things Mothman. It features a wide range of activities and attractions, including guest speakers, authors, and experts on the Mothman phenomenon. The festival also holds the Mothman pageant, where attendees can dress up as Mothman or other related characters. The Mothman Museum, located in downtown Point Pleasant, is a popular destination for tourists interested in the creature's history and lore. The museum houses a vast collection of Mothman-related artifacts, memorabilia, newspaper clippings, and eyewitness accounts. Visitors can explore the history of Mothman sightings, view artwork and sculptures inspired by the legend, and learn about the impact of the Mothman on the local community. A 12-foot-tall stainless steel statue of the Mothman is located near the museum and has become an iconic photo spot for visitors. It serves as a symbol of the town's embrace of its unique and eerie history. Point Pleasant has enhanced its Mothman tourism appeal by illuminating the Silver Memorial Bridge with red lights at night, giving it a distinct and eerie appearance reminiscent of the creature's glowing red eyes. This lighting scheme has become an iconic feature of the town and adds to the overall atmosphere of the Mothman legend. Across the decades, the legend of the Mothman has defied the constraints of time and space, captivating the imaginations of those who dare to peer into the darkness. It remains a symbol of the mysterious, an embodiment of our collective fascination with the unknown. In Point Pleasant, under the watchful gaze of the steel sentinel that is the Mothman statue, and within the pages of countless books and the memories of countless believers, the legend lives on, a testament to the enduring power of cryptids to both frighten and fascinate, and to remind us that, in a world filled with answers, some mysteries may be best left unsolved.